Right, I will commentate on this as I go. I am going to put the horizon line up there. If you look at the photograph, it's about 1/3, at least I'm going to put it about 1/3 to catch those distant hills in the background. So let's just pop that in quickly. Right, so there's the background in there. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just paint a loose wash to capture the background, which will comprise the sky, which will be a little bit of cobalt blue, and then when it's still wet I'll capture that horizon line in there and paint some yellow ochre in down the bottom, because I'm going to use the yellow ochre for my elephants, which will be on the bottom of the horizon. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, you've seen the photograph. That's basically what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to start with some yellow ochre and paint in some background with a bit of a blue sky as well. It's not going to be a dark wash, it's going to be a fairly light wash. Painting is going to be basically three colours: yellow ochre, French ultramarine, and a bit of alizarin crimson as well. So here we go. I'm painting in a wash on the sky, and I'm doing it very, very wet. Starting with sort of a darker cobalt blue at the top. Maybe you can add a little bit of indigo just to make it slightly darker up there, and bring in a bit of an effect of maybe some odd clouds in the background. Okay, and while that is still wet, I will come in with my pale yellow ochre, and basically I'll bring that colour all the way down. Very wet mixture, I'm not going to make it too hectic. And then as I get to the foreground, I'm going to add just a touch of burnt sienna just to warm it up slightly. Okay, so you can leave that little bit of white there. I'm just going to take off a little bit of the excess water on the edge of the paper. That wash is going to dry, but before it does, I want to take my sable brush and I'm going to add a bit of detail. If you look at the picture again, I'm going to add those distant trees in there, not these foreground ones, they all come in later. I just want those to be fairly misty and in the distance. So I'm going to use a grey, which I will mix again with a bit of cobalt blue and some burnt sienna. Okay, so if I look at the photograph there, I'm just going to create those misty bushes on the horizon line there, okay? Actually add a bit of yellow too if you want to. The sun is actually coming from that side. So, but I'm not really going to show too much sunshine on these distant trees, not necessary. Okay. It's just to create a bit of a background. It's a wet and wet technique. I can add a slightly darker variation on that just to give an idea of some shadows in the distance. Okay. Now if you have a look at that and then go to that, we've kind of created that loose shadowy effect. I'm just going to do a few little horizontals across here to show that the landscape is in fact. I'm not going to come too much into the picture because I want to do the elephants there. Okay. At that stage I'm going to actually stop that and we'll start it again when it's dry. Okay guys, I'm back. It's the next day. Just to recap, that's the picture that I'm going to paint. What I've done is I've actually taken that group of elephants there and I've put it onto the paper down here very loosely because I don't want to spread this this composition too much, and I brought those elephants there into the focal point, which will be over there. So for the elephants, and I got this from Hazel Sohn. She's used, she used Prussian blue. I'm going to be using French ultramarine, yellow ochre, and a little bit of alizarin crimson to develop these elephants. So we'll start with the light ones in the background there, over here, and then we'll bring it up, and then we'll finish off with the bushes and things at the end. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do these back elephants here first. The lighter ones. I'm just going to put my yellow ochre to define where these elephants are. This one will be a bit darker as well because that's in the foreground. So that's one. These are Ellies at the back. Hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm working fairly wet. Didn't want that to go into the sky, did I? Okay, so that's fine. Let's sort that one out. I want to create the impression that these elephants are actually sitting in a dust bowl. Right, so now I'm going to put a bit of alizarin crimson in there. Okay, just start developing the shape of those elephants. Leaving a little bit of the yellow to give me a bit of highlight there. And then, while that's still wet, we can come in with a bit of the French ultramarine. Okay. I'm going to make this one a little bit darker because it highlights that elephant in front. And then if you look over here, that's what I'm painting now, that over there. And then I'll add a few little pieces of dark in here as well. And I'm going to take some clean water and just fade that bottom section away. Don't get too carried away. That colour will eventually run in there. And while that's still a bit wet, I can actually start working on this elephant over here. So again, I'll come in with the yellow ochre. I'll leave a little bit of space between that side and this side, so that you can still get a variation. And all right, now coming on to the alizarin crimson on this side of that elephant. Add a little bit more blue to give me the dark. Okay, and there's a shadow over there on that little hump as well. And there's a shadow going right down the trunk on that Ellie over there. A little bit of shadow in there as well. And again, I'm going to fade this into a dusty sort of. Okay, now I can go back into the other elephants at the back there to add a few little bit more darks. If you have a look at that picture there, we need a bit more dark in there. We need a dark on this little chap's ear over here. And we need some dark on that little boy over there. Okay, we'll come in with a little bit more detail towards the end. I'm not too concerned at this stage. I'm just developing some shapes in there. Okay, bring that in there, that one's leg. And some darks. Over here, I want some more darks. And again, down the trunk. Accentuate this chappie's head a bit. A little shadow there. A little shadow there. And bring that down. And let's create a few little creases in this chappie's ear. Okay, just soften those edges off a little bit there. Okay. Alright, starting to look reasonable. I need to go back in and just redefine this elephant over here. I'm going to just curl that one's trunk over there, and maybe a little curl of a trunk over there. So there we have it. I'm going to make that ear a little bit more predominant, maybe a little show at the back there. Okay, let's just put a bit of dark in here, where this elephant here would have its eye, maybe. Okay. Alright, so those Ellies at the moment, I'm reasonably happy with them. Maybe a little bit more shadow in there while that's still wet. Okay, I did sketch them very lightly just to show where the main structure of the elephants was going to be. I'm now going to work on this group of elephants here, which is, if you look at the paper, it's that one there. So we can see, I'm just going to do again, the yellow ochre. And I'll cover the whole thing, basically, because this wet yellow ochre will give me, and I'm going to leave a little bit of light there because the sun is coming from that side, okay, across the paper. Okay. We want that to be reasonably wet because we're coming down into that group of elephants there. Okay, so let's go again, the alizarin crimson, which will give a little bit of sparkle underneath the ears and the skin of those elephants. Just develop a little bit of a shape for maybe an elephant's ear over there. Okay, we're just starting to develop those shadows. Okay, they can come all the way down there. And again, under here I want this to all fade into like a dusty heap. Okay, so now I'll bring in my French ultramarine. Start with the darks. We will build them up a bit more. Bring that down there, because there's a shadow around that side of the elephant. Shadow there. Which helps to define that Ellie. And of course that one. I'm going to just, while I'm here with that darker color, I'm just going to put this little baby elephant in. Okay. And that is actually quite dark, that little baby. So let's just put a bit of, I'll put a little bit of indigo in there, which, and I'll bring that into that top ear there as well. Let's just accentuate that, the head of that Ellie. Okay, so that's actually the rump of that elephant there, facing the wrong way. But let's just create that and put some shadows in there. Maybe I'll just show a little bit of a trunk going down that side over there. Show a bit of shadow in there and on the edge of that ear. Developing that slowly but surely. Okay, let's get some light on that trunk. again, that elephant at the back there, I need to make it a little bit darker again. Okay. Still working away. I'm going to put, this elephant needs to have an eye in that area there, and maybe over here. That little baby over there, and this one over here, and maybe another one over there. Okay, let's just make that a little bit more different. Give that a bit more shape. You can do that now because we're drying. So while that's show a few little maybe a few little highlights on that elephant's trunk, not too much. Again, I'm going to come back to this other little Ellie over here. Put a little bit of dark in there, define its head a little bit better. Again, just building up the darks. Not too much more to do on that one. Okay, reasonably happy so far. Just filling in a little bit of detail where I see it needs a little bit of highlights and lowlights, like there, maybe there, showing off that trunk. That's called negative painting, by the way, guys. It's nothing special. I'm going to just soften this edge again. I know these are staining colors, so you've got to do that kind of while it's still a bit wet. Okay. I'm just looking at that one elephant there. I see we need, if you have a look at that, we need to accentuate that little baby's ear again. And just put a few more darks there. Okay, I'm a little bit happier with that. Let's just soften these colors into each other. Okay. Right. Need this little baby chappy to have another leg there. And maybe just a little bit of a tail. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry and then we'll come back and finish it off just now. Right, we now are getting to the final phase of this painting. I'm going to put, where I've just drawn this vertical line, I'm going to put the elephants obviously into that focal point. I'm going to do those side bushes to kind of frame the picture and then do some detail and final highlights in the foreground. I'm using again my sable brush, and I'm going to use the side of the brush to give me a nice rough edge on the Saunders Waterford 300 gram paper. I'm starting off with a light color, yellow ochre. So we'll just put in the basic shape of the bush and where it's going to go, and then we'll bring in some darks while the original yellow ochre mixture is still wet, which will let the colors run and it'll give you a nice sort of variation in tones. So I'm painting around the front, there's this right Ellie's ear, because when I put the dark in, it'll make the ear stand out, so you'll be able to see what's going on there. Okay, so that's the bushes. I want to leave the bottom still a little bit rough to show the dust, and now I'm going to bring in the darker colors, which is basically adding a little bit of French ultramarine, burnt sienna, to that yellow ochre. So it's just a darker mixture of the same color. Work very wet while we're doing this, because those colors, using my finger there just to spread the colors a little bit on the paper. And while the colors are still wet, you'll get those colors running quite nicely into the picture. Again, darkening just a little bit more on the shadow side. The sun is coming from the right hand side of this picture to the left hand side. Put a bit of French ultramarine in, maybe a bit too much, so I'm just going to spread it out a little bit. Leave some patches where you want to put the branches in, so that you can actually see what's happening with the structure of the tree. And with that, obviously, I'm going to be using my rigger, which will come into play shortly. Yeah, I'm not too careful, just playing around, having fun. Bring some more darks in around those shadow areas. You can see that that little elephant's ear is now starting to stand out because of the dark behind it. It's all about tonal values, lights and darks. You know, once you've got your picture drawn properly and the proportions and things are right, it's just, after that, it's just color and tonal value, and you can really have a lot of fun. Here I am with my rigger, putting in branches and just creating the structure of that tree with those bushes, so that you can see what's happening there. We'll repeat that process on the left hand side shortly, and then you'll see that that whole focal point starts to balance out and look. Your eye will go straight to that. We'll put some detail in the foreground later, which will actually enhance that effect of the eye going in towards the herd of elephants. There we go. Doing the other side, and because we're doing a slightly darker and drier mix, it goes over the distant trees in the background, so they recede into the background, and the rough, fresh paint comes forward because it's drier, and obviously it looks stronger than the background colors. Again, bringing some darks, some shadows into those bushes. Just play around with it a little bit. And I always use either Winsor Newton or Daniel Smith. You can get the cheaper version of the Winsor Newton colours. There I am putting in some little bit of shadow. I don't want to put in too much, otherwise I'm going to take away the effect of the dust. So I'm going to be a little bit careful with those shadows and not put them in the dust, otherwise the dust will disappear. Okay, so now I'm going to put in a few little rocks and things in the foreground, which will bring the eye visually up into that focal point. Put some detail with my rigger branches. Hopefully by the time I do my next YouTube video, I'll have the orientation perfect so that the picture doesn't look skew on the actual screen. And it's just, this is my second one, so it's a bit of a hit and miss effect, but at least you'll be getting the feedback on how I did this particular painting. Okay, now I'm try and pick up some of these little rocks in the foreground. Just put them randomly. You'll see now I'm going to actually bring in a line of rocks so that your eye goes along the rocks, almost like a stepping stone towards the picture. There you go. Towards the focal point, should I say. And now with the little rig, I'll bring in a few little shadows on those rocks as well. Sorry, this video is a little bit long. It's about 35 minutes long. The next one I will speed up. I'll try and make them all in the region of about 18 minutes. And then I'll do a separate commentary. Because on this one I commented as I went, but on new ones I will be doing a separate commentary and then adding it on to the actual video. We live and learn. So there's the finished painting, and yeah, I'm reasonably happy with it. Thanks for watching. Cheers.